Alright, this review is going to be kind of messy because I usually watch the episode again before I do my review, but I just finished watching it and it was a good one. So I'm probably going to miss some stuff that happened because there was so much going on tonight, but it was a good episode. So we picked up from where we left off last week with Hannah finding Amanda, and so Hannah goes to get Wyatt, and uh, she gets Wyatt up, and he sees what has happened to Amanda, and he just breaks down. He just he just loses it, and so Hannah goes downstairs, and excuse me, Celine is talking to her son, and I don't know what Carlos is up to. He's up to something, and she's telling him, well, don't do that or something. And Hannah says, call 911, and Celine's trying to ignore her because, Celine's got that animosity towards Hannah. It's a serious situation, so Hannah says, call 911 again, and she turns around, and she sees that Hannah's, like, covered in blood, and she's like, well, what happened, Hannah? Did you cut yourself? So Hannah takes the phone, and she calls 911, and she says, Celine's trying to figure out who it is, and she hears Hannah tell the dispatcher she's 21, and Celine's like, oh my god. And she runs upstairs, and she goes upstairs, and she sees Amanda, and Wyatt's just sitting on the floor, just like, he's broken down. He's just completely, it just has gotten to him completely. And so from there, oh gosh, I can't remember where we went from there, because we didn't see that scene anymore. So let me just kind of go. I'll try not to go scene by scene this time because like I said, I usually watch the episode again before I do the review, but I can't go scene by scene because I'm gonna forget some stuff. So let's talk about the campaign office. So with the campaign office, they're trying to get everything together. Maggie is frazzled. She's thinking that Jim is not going to show up, and it looks like he's not going to show up because he's still trying to get away from Candace. Candace is not letting him go until he does that wire transfer, and she got him a suit and everything so he could get out of there and get to his announcement. And she waits around for the wire transfer. While she's getting ready to check this computer for the wire transfer, Jim picks up this pipe, and he's getting ready to clock Candace over the head with it, and she said, if you hit me with that, you better kill me. And so Jim backs off because he knows that he's probably not going to get out of there. He wouldn't be able to get alive. Even if he did kill Candace, he wouldn't get out of there alive anyway because Warlock would just handle him. And so he puts it down. She tells him, put it down. And right then the wire transfer has come in. And she still messes with Jim a little bit. And he's wondering if she's really going to be gone and all that. And she's wondering, well, rather, she's wondering if he's going to leave her alone. And so she gives him a bus pass. Jim has no clue what that is. And he's so far up the ladder, he doesn't know nothing about how real people live. She gives him a bus pass, and he goes on. He's walking through the hood, looking real confused, like and like just out of place. It's awkward. He has to walk through the hood. He gets to the bus stop, and he sits down at the bus stop. He says good morning to this guy, tries to make a little small talk, and the guy's just looking at him like, yeah, because it's not that common to see a white man in a business suit just sitting at the bus stop in the hood. It just is not common. So Jim gets on the bus, and he goes on to his destination, and so so we see a little scene with Benny, and this scene was clearly to sort of establish where Candace is going to be headed, where the direction of Candace and the Young family is going to head, or at least Candace and Benny. So Benny meets up with this friend of his that has a tow truck too. He meets up with him and they talk, and his friend says, well, this other guy that's in the towing business, he got arrested on some federal charges, and all his stuff is going to be sold off, and some of me and some other guys are trying to get together and buy his trucks, and he wants to see if Benny wants to get in on it, and Benny's like, I don't know, I wanna be legit, and the friend is like, well, this guy, other guy that's going to be in on it, he's trying to go straight, he's trying to be legit. And so Benny says, okay, I'll think about it. So what happens next is Benny, what happens next with Benny is Benny goes and he talks with Candace, and Candace has bought all this stuff. She spent $20,000 on a dress, $6,000 on a bag for makeup, $3,000 for some shoes, and I'm like, Candace, slow down. That money's not going to last you that long if you just go spend crazy. She's talking about starting a business before that's where she should be putting that money instead of buying a bunch of, you know, frivolous stuff. So and Benny's like, Mama's right about you. You were always running some kind of con, and you know she really wants, you know, the family not to have to worry about money. And that probably includes Hannah, because you know she gets into it with Hannah. But Candace does have, I think Candace does have some good feelings toward Hannah, because that's her mother, and you know, even though they get into it and stuff, I think there's something there that Candace feels for Hannah, and vice versa. So back at the campaign office, Landon is cooking up some scheme of his own. He tells this reporter, and this lady looks like Carson Kressley, and I said that on Twitter. I thought it was funny. And so she wants to ask questions about gay rights, and Landon pretty much just sets her up to go out there and eviscerate Veronica and David. Mainly Veronica, because he's kind of sicks her on Veronica. And so he gives the Harringtons some rules on what of engagement, on what to do when they may not want to answer a question, if they're uncomfortable asking a question, answering a question, all that stuff, standard political stuff. So when it comes up to Veronica and David to have their turn to speak, because Maggie's going to put them out as sort of an opening act, because Jim is not there yet. And it looks bad that Jim's not there yet, because that reporter that Maggie called down from New York, she wanted from Manhattan, she was like, well, this looks horrible. If he doesn't get here soon, I'm going to get on air and blast him. I have to have a guest. So they try to buy some time and stall with Veronica and David. So David gets up there and, you know, they introduce. Okay, and let me backtrack, because Veronica threw some real shade at Landon. She said something, I forget how the comment came about. Like I said, I usually watch the episode again before I do my review, but somehow she ended up saying, I'm sure my wrist is stronger than yours, to Landon. So she's playing on all sorts of stereotypes there. Landon tried to show her how to you know, the gesture make with her hair, and he was just gonna, like, you know, sort of like move her hair to the side or whatever. She didn't. She's like, no, don't touch me. Like, she's gonna be infected if he just even touches her a little bit. So she did that shade before they went out there, and so David gets up there. He gets a few questions, you know, standard political stuff, yada yada yada. Why are you running? What do you have to offer? All that standard stuff. And then the gay rights reporter gets her say, and she starts asking about gay rights, and she specifically asks for Veronica. And it turns out, and I just discovered this again a couple of days ago, because I had rewatched the first season over the weekend. I binge watched it, and David had run a campaign some years ago on family values, and that included being anti-gay rights. So the gay rights reporter, she asked a whole bunch of questions of Veronica. do you support gay rights, gay marriage, blah blah blah, and Veronica basically says, I support equality. Very true to form to how a lot of people will answer those sort of questions. They won't answer directly, they'll just say they're for equality. So the reporter digs deeper. What if your son was gay? And so Jeffrey stand up there with Melissa, who was introduced as his girlfriend, which is ridiculous anyway because he barely knows her. Regardless of Veronica's games, it's stupid to introduce her as his girlfriend since he barely knows her. Okay, so the reporter asked Veronica, what if your son was gay and his partner was sick in the hospital and he was not allowed to visit him? How would you feel about that? And Veronica, my son is not gay, and it just sort of, it escalates from there. And David tried to intervene before, and the reporter said, let your wife answer. Do you want it to look like she can't answer for herself? This reporter is skewering them. So Veronica slips up, gets angry with the reporter, and she says, you people. And the reporter's like, what do you mean, you people? And then Veronica goes into this spiel about this whole fake political spiel about unity and people trying to make one issue, people trying to make the whole campaign about themselves, blah, blah, blah. Basically, she gets herself out of it. And after the press conference, she's like, you set me up to fail, but I got out alive. She says this to Landon, and then she says, you're fired. And Landon says, you can't fire me. And then David says, you're fired. And so they walk off, and this is where I was kind of surprised that this happened. Like, what? It's like it just was happened so quickly. I was not expecting it. So so Landon looks at Jeffrey and says, you know, you love that. You loved it. And Jeffrey's like, no, I didn't. And then Landon just grabs Jeffrey and plants a kiss on him, and Melissa's like, and I'm like, did you really? I mean, I was thinking that Veronica put her up to this, but the way she's looking at her face was like, like, what the heck is going on here? And Landon saw that Jeffrey, did you like that or whatever? And Jeffrey just sort of takes off, and oh, so it was a mess, and Landon just basically says to Melissa, he's gay, girl. He's gay. And so this is where it was, I want to say, use the word haphazard, because there was so much going on. Maggie's freaking out because the anchor's getting ready to go on the air live and blast Jim for not showing up. She's about to say it, and then all of a sudden somebody comes up in her ear and starts whispering, and Maggie's like, what's going on? And then Catherine has called Jim's phone because she was looking for him to try to get him to the press conference, and Wyatt has the phone, and she knew that Jim didn't have it, but she called it anyway because Maggie was freaking out. And so Wyatt answered it, and he's babbling and going on, and Wyatt, she thinks he's messed up, drunk, whatever. She can't tell what he's saying, and so David takes her phone and tries to figure out what Wyatt hung up, and then I believe Hannah called on. I'm not sure who Hannah called, because Hannah called someone, and Catherine got the phone, and we don't hear Hannah's voice, and Catherine, she just goes. Just like everything drains out of her, the life drains out of her. She's like, oh my God. And she's just going down, and Veronica's like, young Catherine, what's wrong? And they're trying to sit her down, and clearly we know what is happening. I'm not sure who called the reporter, but I was surprised by the ending because I didn't think the anchor was going to know. And she said, Jim Cryer couldn't be with us because of the death of his daughter. Apparently it's a suicide. That was it. And next week it's gonna be a mess, because everybody's going crazy, and Celine can be annoying sometimes, but there's this one scene next week where she tells Veronica, "Go to hell," and I was like, "Yes, tell her." I don't really care if it why she's telling her to do that. Somebody needs to tell Veronica something because nobody has really stood up to Veronica other than Candace. She tells her, but I really am looking forward to that scene, and there's gonna next week is gonna really deal with the aftermath of this Amanda's death, and it looks like the police may be getting involved because I'm hearing something about the DA is gonna get involved. So I'm guessing that Sherry Headley's gonna be back on the scene because she played the DA last season. So I'm guessing that she's gonna make her return to the show. Um, but anyway, that's it. I probably missed some stuff. Because I just got on here to do this review real quick. It was so exciting, and it's just like, I mean, this is why I like this show. The season, the first few episodes of the season, like the first 3 episodes kind of dragged, but last week's episode is where things picked up, and it's just like, this was amazing. Just amazing. Just a great, great cliffhanger. Um, I'm looking forward to see where this goes from there. I was thinking they might try to say Amanda's alive, but I think they have actually killed Amanda off. Um, I will see you next time for my haves and the have-nots review. Take care and deuces.